Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to our live chat. It has been a long time since we've done this, and I want to be able to see if we could have a successful live stream it through PC today. Um, yeah, I want to have a discussion about some recent activities that happened on Instagram. Yeah, apparently, somebody who I've been in contact with for a long time is officially now blocking me. Thanks. Just dug it up a while ago. Don't remember where I got it. Don't ask me. But yeah, I've had it a while. Yeah, so mm, it's not really all that good. Like what happened was we were in the middle of a conversation. I'm not going to mention who, but if I ever do decide to who or unveil who it was, I'll probably do that in the future when I'm in a good mood and time to do that. But as of right now, I'm just going to leave that person's name out of the picture. But I will say that we did get into a conversation because he recently signed up for this app called Timu or whatever this thing is, which is somewhat similar to Etsy. And what happened was he was looking for followers to help support his Timu account and asked if I would be willing to help him. And I was like, I'm not gonna immediately jump ship into something that I'm not familiar with. And I then ended up sharing a story about my experience with a customer, and this was legit, and it was a really good reason why I did not want to immediately support something that I'm not familiar with. But a long time ago, I once had a customer who I bagged groceries for, and this was years ago when the Nintendo Switch first launched, right? And what happened with this individual was that he won an auction on eBay, right? And he was the successful buyer and waited 5 to 7 business days and got the package in the mail, and in it was an empty box of a Nintendo Switch. And the person on the site refused to give him his money back and told him that he got what he paid for. And the person who bought the empty box decided to press charges, of course. And after that, I never had any updates. But after that moment, I became very vigilant in terms of getting into certain sites that I'm not familiar with or certain ads that seem too good to be true, right? And this person that I was acquainted with on Instagram took it out of proportion and was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I got my Nintendo Switch fair and square through Timu." And that was not exactly quite related with what I was talking about. In fact, I was literally explaining as to why I was trying to be a little bit more vigilant in terms of what I'm signing up for before I would ever consider supporting this guy through this app that I'm not familiar with up until recently. And he asked me straightforward if whether or not if I was going to download the app. I said no, and just like that, he blocked me on Instagram for no apparent reason. All because I refused to show him support on an app that I refused to download onto my phone or whatever device that I would normally use from my normal daily basis. Um, so he and I are no longer in talking terms. Again, I'm not going to unveil who it is. Exactly. But I will say that he is one of the major influencers that had been on the YouTube platform for a very long time and has a major following than I currently have. So, again, I'm not going to go into the rabbit hole and unveil who it is because I'm not that type of person who would immediately be treated that way and just immediately throw a huge bitch fit about what they did to me or even mention the name. In fact, I'm not going to give them the moment to have any of the spotlight, whatever. Yeah, so that was the crazy story that recently happened. And you know what? That's just going to be one of those things. Like, there's bound to be some crazy people like that from time to time, and there's going to bound to be some people with double or triple standards. How's it going? How's it going, Kevin Daddy? Welcome. But yeah, I'm all good. Like, it's just one man. Yeah, but sadly, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Because again, this individual has dozens of supporters since the beginning of YouTube, believe it or not. Hmm. And I will say that I probably won't be surprised if he ends up slandering me on his channel, on YouTube, or whatever other source that he might stream on, but I'm just not gonna really give a damn. Yep. It's just one of those things. Mm. And it just gets even better too. Like, I decided to share this information out with um this Facebook community that I followed for gay conservatives, right? And I expressed about what I just went through recently on Instagram, and I had some comments asking me how is this even relevant to what we're discussing about, and why is this topic even posted into our community in the first place. Although I did have one supporter from a conservative lesbian, which I do appreciate, but everybody else had just seemed to look at it as if it were one of those unnecessary drama. But my intent was to give everybody the heads up about what this huge influencer on YouTube was capable of, and why this sort of topic should be discussed about in our community, which was basically the entire point of what being a part of this Facebook group is all about. And a few moments later, that post was taken down by an admin after it was permitted to be posted. Like, after when I just found out about that, I was literally puzzled, and I didn't know why it happened, but I was really at the right mind of sharing this information with the group. In fact, it was literally one of those topics that we should all have a conversation about in terms of related situations. Like, Anheuser-Busch or something else to do with a certain influencer, another influencer of whom of which I will not mention. But yet, for some reason, the topic that I posted, it was somehow irrelevant, which was crazy. But again, I'm not gonna open any windows for a whole argument about all that garbage. Uh, mm, yeah, arguments can be pretty scary. Mm. Especially with this whole broken society, because people are too afraid that they might get canceled, boycotted, trolled, receiving death threats. Pure insanity. Oh. Yeah, sorry if you're hearing that bumping noise. It's my cat playing with her toy. Mm. Yeah, plus I really do appreciate the support that I actually do have right now. But I am, however, very vigilant in terms of making friends. Like, there's always going to be that crazy person. um, I wouldn't say that I was scammed, but one person did come close to doing so, which was years ago. But again, I wouldn't put down any of my barriers and let anybody try to dictate about how I should be spending my days and how I should be spending my money, that sort of thing. And yeah, Tears of the Kingdom looks pretty good. I mean, I don't have the game right now, but I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully one of these days bring more Zelda content in the future. Mm. Yeah, and they don't know what they're missing. Because again, we're living in a huge woke society where if you say one thing just like that, you're some quote unquote bigoted dinosaur, as many of those crazies would dictate. All right. Thanks for stopping in. Really appreciate it. Yeah, there's bound to be some crazy people in a number of these platforms. Like, I remember when I used to stream on Twitch, I would have some trolled comments popping up from here and there talking about gender affirming care or having one of those transition cosmetic surgeries. And my reaction was like, why are you even posting this shit on here? Like, this is not what the content is all about that I'm trying to live stream here. This is supposed to be all about gaming. And you're literally talking about some personal information that does not need to be shared, especially if there are kids watching. Like, who does that shit? And I remember I was talking to my brother on the way to his house too during my trip to Michigan over at his place that if we ended up going into a nightclub and if I saw a child on stage with a drag queen, I would freaking walk out. Like, I have absolutely no idea why people are doing that these days. Like, you wouldn't exactly take them to a local strip joint or one of those Chippendales in Vegas. In fact, I do remember when Kroger had a bar years ago. There were a whole lot of customers drinking there, and truth be told, they were sitting at the bar with their children present. And my reaction was like, why the hell would you even be bringing your kid in at a bar that just happens to be in a grocery store? Like, you wouldn't normally do that in a pub or an actual lonesome building nightclub or dive bar, that sort of thing. Like, we used to call child protective services that on parents who would do something like that. Like, that shit at the time didn't really make any sense at all. Like, if I were to turn back the clock and step foot into that store around that time when we still have our bar and we have those customers drinking with their children there, frankly, I would be yelling at their faces and be like, you need to keep your fucking kids home if you're going to be coming into the store or drinking at the bar where there's dozens of alcoholic beverages that no child should be exposed to. Like, what if they get into the bottles and break any of the glasses and cut themselves? Because again, you don't normally bring a kid to someplace that is meant to have adult customers. Although some bars actually do serve kids meals, but again, you wouldn't normally be bringing a kid to a single bar or a nightclub. Yeah, and I also try to be a very vigilant in terms of who I'm following on YouTube or whatever sort of platform. In terms of the LGBT community, if anything, I'd rather much be supportive of people who are more leaning towards common sense and who would have the same arguments as I'm having. Because again, drag is not for kids. And for a parent to bring a child into that environment is extremely irresponsible on their part. Like, I could understand that they want to be supportive of us, but there is a limit to that. Like, if you're bound to be bringing your kid along, you're exposing them to a whole lot of filth that goes on into our events. And trust me, I've been to one of those nightclubs, and backstage and in the public restrooms, there's a lot of nudity, sex, and drugs. I just don't understand how parents would want to bring their kid into that type of environment. Like, you're supposed to be protecting your kids from the things that they shouldn't even be exposed to until they're adults. And it's supposed to be your job to prepare them for the things that they'll later in life be exposed to as they get older. I mean, if you really rather just have them be entertained by somebody in a costume wearing makeup, like take them to the fucking circus or to a carnival. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, I'm pretty sure that Cedar Point might have that type of entertainment that would be somewhat appealing to your child, because drag is more of an adult thing. Mm. Yeah, so far I'm not having any issues with the live stream. I think it might have something to do with a new update that just got added. Or maybe the fact that I haven't used this PC for streaming in a long time. You know what? That's cool and all. I mean, of course, I always got my consoles. If God forbid, if it ever comes down to that point. Hmm. Yeah, if I ever do end up going into the dating gig with a single guy, my only demand is that we don't involve children into any of these sort of events, nor should we ever expose to having them being around any sort of that gay sexual stuff that our community normally does. Like if I really do meet someone, I'd rather prefer that they just don't be involved in any politics, or that they don't have this type of motivation of being diverse or inclusive, as many companies would state. I mean, I literally don't care who comes into the live chat, but what I will not tolerate is the type of behavior that we're all witnessing today. But even if I don't have a guy in my life, that's fine. Thanks, Brian. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Uh if I ever don't end up having a man in my life, that's fine. Like, I'd rather be happy rather than just be miserable and suffering and be put through hell. That's the one thing that you just gotta hold on to is your self-respect. Cause you're simply the best, as Tina Turner would say. May she rest in peace. Hmm. Ah. Yeah, and I'm not completely all worked up at what people might say about me. And I'm not gonna go on social media and cry about it. Like, if I see somebody like that in the LGBT community, if they stand there and cry and complain about not being respected well enough or some shit, I would literally be like Bruce Willis and be like, wow, wow, we're gonna need the ambulance. Like, dude, seriously, grow the fuck up. A real man would not even be crying like that. Like, if people are really gonna be absolute jerks to you, take it like a man. Or a woman. Let's talk about the importance of sex. Let's... Grand Marnier. You are not. Watching from sunny Scotland. Yeah, morning to you too, Theta. Welcome to the stream. Uh, just having a chill live chat for a little while. Like, why not? It's been a long time since we've done this. And if you guys think I'm going to be signing up for OnlyFans just so that I could expose my naked body, that ain't going to happen. Also, plus, I'm not a freaking hooker. Isn't that the sad reality? Like, I've seen many big YouTubers who have the numbers, really good numbers, and so many of them would just stoop so low into the resort of pornography, especially with OnlyFans. Uh, yeah, I said to myself too that if I ever do hook up with a guy that does that shit, and if we want to take things seriously to the next level, some things are just gonna have to change, especially in terms of how they're making of or how he's making his money. Like, would I even be comfortable seeing him exposing himself in front of millions of people who would pay hundreds or thousands of bucks to see him? Like, fuck that shit. Of course, maybe that'll be something that Deadpool would do, but none of my house he's not. uh, yeah, I'm really happy that Anakin Skywalker is brought to Fortnite. By the way, and why was I so determined to get my hands on him? Because, mm, well, number one, he becomes Darth Vader, and number two, he's hot. Like, who can ever resist hating Christensen? Yeah, apparently Target is now under fire for the clothing line that is being sold recently. Like, people, seriously, this is what happens when you get too involved into politics. Like, I get that you want to be supportive of our community, but come on, there is a limit to that. Hell, I'd rather try to be as neutral as possible. Repeating the same big mistake that Anheuser-Busch had gotten into. Was I surprised that something like that was going to happen? No, because I know that Kroger has been doing that same shit for a very long time when they started to be inclusive. And I remember years ago that we had a manager, this lady, I can't remember what her name was. I can't simply recall, but anyway, she came up to us and she advised us that we refrain from using words like sir or ma'am, otherwise that would be offensive. Like, how is that offensive? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they were under fire for a little while up until the whole Bud Light situation started. And I literally have a lot of the receipts that had went on in the store where I used to work. I mean, again, there is a limit to what you should be allowing into your business and what should not be accepted. Because if you try to push it, there's bound to be a whole lot of backlash, and eventually it'll spiral out of control. And we're seeing that example right now. And all it took was these two companies to be that example. Just these two major corporations. Like, in terms of Bud Light, your customers are likely to be 100% of the time male, sports fans, frat boys, graduate college students, working class Americans, and usually in some cases, women do drink beer too. And most of those men and women are either Democrat, Republican, straight, gay, black, white, or whatever. And your main course of action at best would be to stay neutral. And the moment they involved you know who, that's when the whole discovery exploded. And people would be rightfully so be pissed. Because that right there completely hurts the true consumers out there. And now Target is trying to do a whole lot of damage control to prevent that same incident from happening into their stores. Because once you open the book, it would be impossible to close up again. This is happening to Anheuser-Busch. This is happening to Target, and this could potentially happen to anyone else if they're not careful. Because again, if you're going to ever want to run a successful business, the key is to remain neutral and not involve any political arguments into the industry. If I were to name other companies who should be in the category of this whole boycott movement, it would absolutely be Kroger, and also should be Electric Arts for the content that they have been releasing into The Sims 4. And I'm talking about the gender binder content that they have added as a free patch update on a video game that is marketed towards 13-year-old kids. Like, I get that people want to be inclusive in terms of our community, but there is a limit to that. Because if you're really going to go into the deep end and open that whole book for people to see for their very own eyes and read, there's bound to be some backlash down the road. And that's why I refuse to stream The Sims 4, by the way. Although they did have some good content in terms of vampires, werewolves, witches, fashion designing, living in big cities, but this sort of content we did not actually need to be seen. Nor should any child should ever be exposed to. Because again, once you open that book, it would be impossible to close. Pretty impossible to close. Hmm. Alright, I think I'm gonna stop the live stream tonight because it's getting late and I should be getting to bed soon. Just wanted to do a late night live chat. Hence, this had been something that we haven't done in a long time. So, really appreciate you guys stopping by, and be sure to share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff that everybody normally does on YouTube. And let's keep this channel growing. So, until the next time, catch you guys later.